Yet the Earl had not seen fit to respond to her inquiries, and he was the only one with the information she was desperate to obtain. Her driver dismounted, came around and opened the door for her. "Are you very certain you wish to do this, Minerva?" She bit back her sigh. Hugh was the perfect example of attractiveness, intelligence, and character. Unfortunately, he was also too curious. She was to blame for that. By her actions, she'd led him to believe he had the right to be so intrusive. "I see no other recourse," she said. "He hasn't answered my letters. What else can I do?" "He may refuse to see you." She nodded, placing her hand on Hugh's arm, allowing him to assist her from the carriage. "He may," she said. "If he won't see me today, he'll see me tomorrow. If he won't see me tomorrow, he'll see me the day after. And 1,000 days if necessary, Hugh." He raised one eyebrow. Very well. Perhaps she was a tiny bit stubborn in certain situations. She was a woman who toiled in a man's world. She couldn't afford to be perceived as soft and demure. That was for women who rarely left their parlours or used fans for the love of all that was holy. She couldn't imagine using a fan to flirt with a man. She'd feel like a fool. Shaking her skirts free, she did a quick perusal of herself. Of course, she looked nothing like the scores of women who'd probably made their way up these broad white steps. She was simply Minerva Todd, whose assets were not those of figure or face. Before she made it to the door, she felt the first droplets of rain. In moments, it felt like a full bucket had been upended over her head. At the top of the steps, she took a deep breath, squared her shoulders, and stared at the black painted door with its whimsical brass knocker. Why a mushroom, of all things? She raised the knocker and let it fall, hearing the soft echo in the foyer. Her heart galloped in her chest, tightening her breath. Inside her gloves, her fingertips were cold. He must see her. He must tell her. Even if it was the worst possible news, she must know. When no one answered the door, she let the knocker fall twice more. The front windows were clean and sparkling. The stoop had been swept. No debris of any sort was on the steps. Yet she had the feeling the house was deserted. Taking a step back, she looked up at the windows through the rain. All of them were shielded by curtains. No one stood there watching her. She turned, calling out to Hugh standing beside the carriage. "Would you go to the stables, Hugh? See if there's a carriage there." If the Earl wasn't home, it would be the reason he hadn't answered. Did he have a country house? How would she find out where it was? Hugh nodded and began walking to the corner and around to the back of the townhouse as she stood there waiting. The steps had no place where a visitor might stand and be shielded from the elements, and it felt almost like a personal affront. She let the knocker fall again. The rain smelled of dust and the London streets. London seemed to be a city that contained odours, holding them in, as if jealous they might escape. Now she picked out the scent of honeysuckle and roses, old buildings, manure, dust, and the ever-present and pungent smell of the Thames. The door opened so suddenly, she nearly fell forward. A tall, thin man greeted her. The sleeves of his shirt were rolled up, revealing muscular arms. His hair was brushed back from a face made stern by a prominent nose and pointed chin. Sweat dotted his brow and above his lip. His look of irritation was a little off-putting, but she ventured a smile anyway. "Yes?" he said. She had the strangest urge to apologize. No, that would never do. She was there for a reason. "I'm here to see the Earl." "Are you?" How very odd to be questioned by a major domo. She pulled a calling card from her reticule and held it out until he took it. A good thing, since she was becoming drenched, and the card was decidedly soggy. Why hadn't she brought her umbrella? "Will you tell him that Minerva Todd is here to see him, please, on account of her brother, Neville?" "He isn't receiving visitors." She ignored that comment. "Please tell the Earl I shall not take up much of his time. I only have one question to ask." Had the major domo begun as a footman? His height was impressive. She truly disliked having to look up at him. The stony expression of his